Hello everybody, I'm Josh Cavalier and welcome to BrightStreamTV. Today, it's one of my favorite applications, Adobe Captivate 9, and I'm talking about states. So if you happen to be in a state of confusion, today is the day that we're going to go over all these wonderful new features. I have been using Captivate for years and I am excited about this particular feature in the program. You know, relating to your users and understanding, what they're going through, especially now with mobile devices, we need to make sure that we have the ability to let the student know they can interact with content on the screen. States are going to give us the ability to go ahead and show that level of interactivity by changing the way something looks. We can also build a lot of interactions without using advanced actions, and I love that. If it's easier and it's engaging, I'm all for it. Well, let's get in and take a look at Adobe Captivate 9 states. All right, so let's go ahead and first talk about what is a state. States are a visual or auditory change to an object for the purpose of revealing information or to give environmental feedback. Wow, that is a mouthful. It does a lot. Let's just break that down. The first part, a visual or auditory change. A state is when something is happening in the environment and the user can pick up on it in a visual or auditory way. At least, in a multimedia environment or on a mobile device, you have that as immediate feedback. Now, on a mobile device, could we have haptic feedback like vibration and stuff like that? Sure, that could be a state change. But for when working in Captivate, we're focusing on the visual channel and the auditory channel to the student. All right, to an object. Wow, there are so many different things that you can change in the Captivate environment in regards to states. So we have visual changes, we have auditory changes, and you'll see that here in just a little bit. So things like a highlight box, or a button, or a shape. These are all objects that we can change, again, to show the student that something is going on. For the purpose of revealing information, I want to show you something. So I'm going to go ahead and have a state change to reveal text, to reveal a graphic, to go ahead and even show a video. Man, today I got an awesome video example that we're going to walk through. Or to give environmental feedback. This is to reassure the student that, yeah, I am engaging, I am working with something, something is happening. I'm hovering, I'm touching, yes, I'm interacting with it. States are so critical and I'm so excited they are in Captivate 9. Let's say that we have a submit button. Well, a submit button by itself doesn't tell me much, but if I take my cursor and roll over it on the desktop environment, I may want a visual change. Now this is a really common state that everybody has experienced out there, but Captivate now is going to allow us to go beyond buttons and get into all of these different types of objects. So let's jump into Captivate and take a look at states. For today's project, we're going to open up an existing file. So let's go ahead and let's just go to File, Open, and I'm going to navigate to those student files there. And you'll notice that I have a file, captivate9states.cptx. Let's go ahead and open that up. Now, while you're opening up that file, Michael has a question. What's the benefit of using states to change an object rather than the reveal or other commands for other objects? States are going to allow us to easily go in and organize various changes that are occurring, Michael. And you're going to see here that as I go in and start building out states, there's an immense amount of flexibility and ease of use from a development standpoint. So when you go in and you are taking an object and hiding an object and then revealing that object, there's a bit of maintenance going on there. And what you're going to see today is things that are appearing without having to hide it and show it. But you know what? You bring up a good point, and I actually have one of the last interactions I'm going to work on today. I'm actually going to need to hide something temporarily and then show it. So we can actually use a combination of hiding and states to create a great interaction. On this first screen here, I have a list of all the objects that are available for states. Things like text captions, highlight boxes, smart shapes, SVG, and so on. There's some really interesting ones in here. How about video? And we're going to be doing a video example here in just a moment. But I wanted to make sure that you had a list of all the things that we can change in regards to objects. We also have elements in Captivate that have built-in states. Let's go to the second slide. These include buttons and smart shapes. So when we create these objects in Captivate, they will have built-in states already for us that we can take advantage of. And we'll see that here momentarily. Let's go back to the prior slide. All right, guys. Now, notice here that I have a few buttons, blue, red. And to verify this, let's open up our Properties panel. So I'm just going to go in the upper right-hand corner, like so. And you're going to notice that these elements here are used as buttons. And this is going to help us out to see these states as we work with them. Let's do something really simple to start out with so we can have an understanding of objects and how states can be accessed. What I'd like you to do, we're going to go up to Shapes, and we're simply going to draw an oval. Let's go ahead and click and drag and create an oval or circle shape right there. Anytime that you create an object in Captivate, especially when we're dealing with states, we're going to go ahead and name it. Right? I always say you got to name it to claim it. So I'm simply just going to go ahead and call that circle. You notice that directly under the name field, we have object state. Okay, so this is the start of our conversation here. Currently, this object is in a normal state. I can hit the drop down and there's just one state of its being currently. But let's go ahead and I want to add a state. I want to add a brand new state, a visible state to this object. So I'm going to click plus. And let's go ahead and name this blue. And click OK. I'm currently in the blue state. And as I mentioned before, states are a visual change. So let's go ahead and change this visually from this white and gray to blue. I'm going to go down to Fill, and let's click blue. And now I have a blue fill. If we go back up to the Object State section of our panel, we'll hit the drop down. Let's click Normal. That's the normal state. And then let's click Blue. And that's the blue state. Well, this is pretty easy, when you have just a few states. But what if you have 5 or 6 states? And I'm also a visual person, and sometimes it's difficult for me to understand what I'm looking at here with just the text drop down. So notice that down below we have something called the state view. Let's open that up. So I'll select it, and I'm currently in this brand new state view. At the top of the state view, we can see all of our objects here that are on this slide. So if I have other objects that have states, I can easily access those. Now right now I don't have anything except the circle, so I'll just select that. If I want to add a brand new state, I can easily click New State and just work from it from here. I love this setup. And what I'm doing is going in and clicking on each state. This is the normal state, and here is the blue state. Now I notice that I need a red state. So I'm going to click on New State, and I can go ahead and just call that red, and click OK. Captivate has taken the normal state, has duplicated it, and we now have the red state. Notice that there is an orange box around the current state. Well, it needs to be red, so I better go ahead and go over to my Properties panel, and let's change that to red. And now I have that red state. Excellent. While in the State panel, you'll notice that Captivate will dim the screen that you're currently on. Again, this is a visual clue for you to understand that, hey, I'm not working on my main timeline, I'm not in the work area as far as moving things around, I'm in my state of this object. And I think they did a good job of illustrating that. Okay, so we have a red state, we got a blue state, and we have our normal state. When it's time to go back and begin working with the rest of your slide, you'll notice that there is a new button up here on the toolbar, and that is Exit State. Let's go ahead and select Exit State. Now all that information that we just created is parked inside of this circle object. We have the normal state, the blue state, and the red state. Awesome. Now let's do something with those states. Conveniently, I have two buttons down here, blue and red. I bet you know where we're going with this, right? Let's select blue. Because this is a button, we can put an action on it. Let's select Actions. The current action is go to next slide. Let's change that. We'll click the drop-down menu. Now if you scroll all the way down to the bottom, ooh, look at these right here. Change the state of an object, go to the next state, go to the previous state. Wow, we're going to have a lot of fun with these today. Let's go ahead and click Change State of our circle to blue. Oh, I love that. That's so incredibly easy. When we click this button, change the state of the circle to blue, our blue state. I don't want to continue playing the project because I want to hang out here and have some fun with the rest of these interactions. So let's go ahead and deselect Continue Playing Project. All right, it's test time. Even before I go in and try to implement this on the red button, I want to verify and make sure that blue is working correctly. Let's go to Preview, and we'll do a simple preview next 5 slides. There's our normal state. Let me click blue. Oh, that's wonderful. My state has updated. Let's now work on the red one. We'll select the red button, go to Actions, scroll through your list of actions, and we'll select Change State of. Circle to red. Oh my gosh, it knew exactly what I wanted to do. Lucky me. Change it to red. All right. Now, before we get too far, I am going to go ahead and save my work. Right? Save early, save often. Let's go to Preview and next 5 slides. A very simple toggle. There's so many different things that you can take advantage of this here with a simple change of an object, like a circle. Now what if we want to go in and start doing something with an image? Yep, notice here in the list that images are part of that. And down below here I have a correct and incorrect button. I'm just going to go ahead and move these up slightly. And let's now go in and take a look at inserting an image and adding states to an image. Let's go to Media, and today we're going to be using characters. Now I'm just going to go in and select a default character in here, Brad, full, and we'll click OK. And I'm just going to move Brad over here. All right. Once you insert the media into the work area, take a look at the properties. Again, we want to go in and give our object a name, Brad. The object state is down below, and we have a normal state. Again, I can continue adding states in here. So I want a correct and incorrect state. I can click the plus icon, go in. This will be correct. Click OK. And with the artwork selected, notice that Captivate has a little button here to replace a character. Very convenient. Well, I'm going to replace it. And I need something where he's excited. All right, so it looks like I don't have my images in here. Not a problem. We'll get someone else that's happy. We'll use him for incorrect. All right, we'll just change it to her for correct. She looks very positive. And if you're running into the same situation where you don't have these other characters loaded, you can go in and use the first character in the list in Captivate. Those initial characters are always loaded for you. And obviously you'd have to download the additional characters to use them all. So we're just going to use her for correct. Let's click OK. And now we need to go ahead and add the incorrect state. Again, if you feel at a point that you need to work visually, go ahead and click on the state view. There's my normal. There is correct. And now I'd like to go ahead and generate the incorrect state. There are more than just ways of going in and creating a new state. Let's go down to our correct state and let's right-click. A contextual menu appears and we have certain functions here to this state. We can add an additional state. I can rename it, delete it, reset it back to the normal, set as the default, and duplicate it. I think I want to duplicate this. And we'll call it incorrect. We'll click OK. The incorrect state appears. I still have my artwork selected, and all we need to do is change the character. So I'm going to replace the character. Again, this guy wasn't looking too happy. That's a good incorrect graphic. I'll click OK. And now that gentleman is incorrect. Excellent. We have both of the states that we need, correct and incorrect. Let's go and exit the state. So we get out of the state panel, and now it's a matter of going in and programming our buttons. And it's the same technique as blue and red. We'll click correct. We'll go to actions. Again, one more time, guys. We're going to go all the way down to the bottom, change the state of Brad so it's correct. Isn't that wonderful? We'll go to incorrect, change the state of Brad so it's incorrect. All right, so this looks good. Let's preview. Next 5 slides. Let's go down. Correct, incorrect. Oh, forgot one thing. Can anyone guess what I did? Yeah, I'm sure you can. Look at this. Continue playing project. That certainly worked. Yeah, you got to remember to turn that off. Continue playing project. Once that's turned off, it will stay on the slide. So if you have a lot of interactions like I do here, remember to turn that feature off. Continue playing the project. Okay, hey, we got shapes down, we got images. Look at this, video. Ooh, now that's interesting. What can we do with video and states? I think this is a huge area of exploration, and I'm only scratching the surface here of what we can do today. So we're actually going to go ahead and use 3 different videos and states, and we're going to use these buttons to toggle in between those states and those videos. Now, before we actually jump in and start adding the video in here, let me just look at the student files here real quick. And what I want to point out is that these video files are going to be in a different folder, video, and we have 3 MP4 files in here with a little video shoot that we did. All right, so that's the location. This is where we're going to be grabbing them from. Let's go ahead and start the process. Well, we need some type of base object to work with, and we want to go in and, of course, bring in a video. So let's go to Media and select Video. This is going to be Event Video. We're going to browse out, and we'll go into that folder and select our first video. And click OK. And we'll click OK again. Now, in regards to the controls, I want to go ahead and simplify this. We're going to remove the skin and autoplay the video. So with the video set, we're going to autoplay the video and remove the skin and say none. So you have a nice clean presentation. Next, let's go ahead and take a look at the name. So I'm simply just going to call this video. It currently has a normal state, so we're going to go in and go into the state view. And now it's time to start adding additional states in here. So I'm going to add a new state, and we can just call this video 2 and click OK. And I need another one, so we can go in and duplicate that state, and this is going to be video 3 and click OK. Now obviously we need to go in and swap out our video content. Let's go up to video 2. With the video selected, notice that we can go to Properties, and the file link here is to video 1. We'll click the folder, select Import, we'll navigate to that video folder, and there we go. And we'll click OK. So the video should be in there, should update that screen. All right, so for some reason the thumbnail didn't update, but I'm going to just take a wild guess that it will update in there just because it is a different file reference in here. Let's go ahead and go to video 3, select it. Let's go ahead and update the video. Again, same technique here. And we should have the updated video. All right, so again, I can see that it's changed here, but visually it's not changed in the state. Not what I expected, but let's give it a roll and see if it's going to work. Okay, so let me go in and exit the state. We now need to go in and rig the buttons up. So I'm going to click on 1, and we're going to change the state of our video to normal. We'll go to 2 and change the state of our video to video 2. And we'll go to 3, same technique, change the state of our video to 3. All right, so I have those in there, and one thing of note, when I go in and I change the name of that object and I go back to these buttons, look what happens, guys. So Captivate will actually, if you change the name of an object, the code will update here on the Action subpanel. That's a good thing to know because I had forgotten to change that name, but now it's updated. Okay, drum roll. Let's see if this is going to work. let's go to preview, next 5 slides. And there's our video playing down here. I'll hit 2, and then 3. Man, that is awesome. Let's close out of that preview. Again, one thing, we have to remove continue playing the project. I think I was so excited. I wanted to test it. Let's view it one last time. Preview, next 5 slides. Wow. Isn't that interesting? You know, this really shows you the possibility with states, and I got that video playing in the background, and I mean, imagine if you have a subject matter expert and you want the student to go through and click on objects in your environment to get unique feedback for a situation, right? So you can actually put that video in those states, or if I'm showing a series of tasks and I want the student to quickly go to the beginning of each task, but just within this one screen. Now, you know, in Captivate, we do have multi-slide synchronized video, which is great for showing tasks, but now with states in video, we can keep it all on one slide, chop up our video, and put it in those various states. Man, that is exciting. I love that stuff. Hey, let's go ahead and look at buttons. All right, so close out of the preview. Let's go to slide number 2 and talk about built-in states. So in the prior slide, we saw objects that unto themselves only had a normal state. That was it. We had to add a red state and a blue state. We had to add incorrect and correct, and you just saw all those video states. Buttons and smart shapes used as buttons inherently have built-in states. Let's go ahead and take a look at these. So the first one we're going to do here today, we're going to work from left to right, and I want you to go in and create a button. So let's just go to Interactions and select a simple button. Captivate draws that button. Let me expand it here a little bit. And the default is, of course, a text button. Let's go to the object state. Well, before we do that, got to name it to claim it. Button. And look what we get. So this is the 2-for-1 deal. You create a button, you get a rollover state, and you get a down state. Rollover is the visual aspect of the button. When the user takes their cursor and hovers over the button, down is when they click down on the button. These states also exist for transparent buttons and image button. Let's select transparent button. Notice the states still exist. At this point, I now need to decide what kind of look do I want when the user rolls over the button. Let's go to the normal state of this transparent button, and let's give it a color. I can go ahead and give it any color that I want. I'm going to go for a darker color here. Let me just go for like a dark blue. And then maybe I want to offset my copy with a lighter color, maybe a white. We'll bump up that font size a little bit. There we go. Now I can see what's going on. Now I'd like to go ahead and do that rollover state. So let's go to Object State, Rollover. Now I need to make modifications. So we can go ahead and change the fill to a very light blue. I can take my text, label, make that a dark color, like a dark gray, and I now have my rollover state. Now what about that down state? Well, I might as well knock that out. So I'll click down, and maybe I want to go in and just give that a completely different color. So we'll go to fill, and maybe I want to go ahead and give that a red color. But I'm going to change the stroke here to a thick black line, something like 3 pixels. And that is going to be our down state. All right, let's give it a look. Let's go to preview, and we're going to preview next 5 slides. There's our rollover. Let's press down, and we now get our down state. And of course, it's going to kick ahead. And let's close out. Let's try the smart shape. So I'm going to go to Shapes. I'm going to get a rounded rectangle. Let's draw that out. Currently, we just have a plain old object. And as we saw with the prior slide with the circle, we just had a normal state, and we had to add our own states. But once you take a shape, you go to Properties, and you click Use as Button. We're going to go from just a normal state and select to those additional states. Isn't that cool? So again, I can easily go in and select Rollover, change the color, select down, change the color again. Let's preview it. Next 5 slides. Roll over, down. I love that. And of course, it's going to kick me forward. Let's close out of the preview. I have one more for you. And this is a real creative way to start bringing images in, but making them interactive. And this is a button with an image fill. Now, some of you may have already used this technique before, but when you compound it with states, there's a lot of fun things you can do with it. And today we're going to go ahead and create a light switch. Let's go in and let's just draw a rectangle. I'm going to go into Shapes, Rectangle. I'm going to draw a rectangle in a vertical orientation, just like so. But now I want to go in and change it to a button, which gives me these states right here. All right, so what we're going to do is change the fill with an image. Down in the Properties panel, where it says Fill, we have an image fill. Let's select that. We'll hit the Fill drop down, and we want a custom image. Let's go ahead and click on the folder to look for that custom image. It's currently not in my file, so I'll click Import. We'll navigate to our student files. And in the Images directory, look at this. I have an off and an on switch for a light. Let's click off.png and hit Open. I'm not going to make any changes to the artwork. I'm just going to click OK. And now I have my off switch. Now, if that's, I can go ahead and skinny that up a little bit here. That looks good, like that. So that is my normal state. Now we can have a lot of fun with this by modifying the down state. Let me click down. And now it's a matter of going in and changing the artwork. So I'll click Fill, click the folder to change the artwork, and I'm going to import my on state and hit Open. And click OK. So now when I press down on this, the switch is going to turn on. Well, let's try it. And of course, like anything else, we're going to need to go ahead and for our button, yeah, let's give this a go. All right, so let's go ahead and preview next 5 slides. And look at that. I flip the switch, the light comes on, and we go to the next slide. I love that. And again, I can just go ahead and say no action on that button if I just want to continue playing with it without it doing anything. So let's preview it one more time. Next 5 slides. All right, I clicked on it and went on once. But there's so many different things you can do with the image fill. And what happened is the button actually went into the inactive state. So that's a one-click option in there. So again, images, they offer so much more, especially when you integrate them in with a button. Okay, let's build upon the concepts that we know now. Let's go to slide number 3. Oh, here's Brad again. So we want to go ahead and change the color of Brad's shirt, at least let our students pick the color. So let's go ahead and click on Brad. And notice that Brad already has some built-in states. We have yellow, purple, and red. Let's click on the state view. So in the state view, I've already gone in and have created variations of this shirt, like so. And so now we can go in and quickly create buttons to allow the student to pick the color of the shirt. And again, this technique is wonderful if you're trying to cycle through pieces of equipment, or you're trying to show maybe different parts of a system screen in different scenarios, and you want the user to click through and change the image. I mean, this can be used for all kinds of different things instructionally. Let's get out of the state view. Let's exit the state. And let's now go ahead and create 4 buttons, and we're going to change Brad's shirt here on the fly. So we'll go to Shapes. Let's make a rounded rectangle. And this is just going to be my blue shape. And it's a button. All right, so let me go back in and name it again there, blue. And I want to be probably a little bit more specific, so I'm just going to put an underscore BTN at the end to designate it as a button. Now I simply just want to go ahead and make this blue, like so. And I don't need to put any kind of caption on the top of that. All right, we're now going to go ahead and let's go to Actions. We'll set this up to change the state of Brad to normal. And don't continue playing the project. I remember that time. All right, now all we have to do is go in and replicate this button, change the colors, change the code, and we got a full-blown interaction here. Now, here's a little tip. One of my favorite keyboard shortcuts in Captivate is hold down the Control key on the PC or the Command key on the Mac. If you do that and you click an object and drag it, so holding down Control or Command on the Mac, click and drag, look at that, it's duplicating that item. I love that. And release. I'm going to do that 2 more times. 1 for the red, 1 for the yellow, and 1 for the purple. So I'll click my second button. We'll go to Style. I'd like that to be red. And we'll go to Actions, change it to red. Third button, that's going to be yellow. And we'll go to Style. We'll set that to a yellowish color. I mean, I could tweak that out, but I think that looks good. And then finally, for the last one, we have purple. I go back and change the action to purple. And that's it, guys. That's all you have to do. And again, make sure you turn off continue playing the project. We'll preview next 5 slides. And there we go. It's now Brad's fashion show. Isn't that cool? I love that. So we've just gone in and have taken a look at primarily these reveals. All right, and so we're revealing information to the student, and this is great. But one of the other things that's going to happen with your states are environmental things. Things that are going to happen in an auditory fashion or a visual fashion that is going to give feedback to the student that something has occurred and something has happened. Now, Adobe has included states with drag and drop interactions. Yeah, these are also objects that when you flip that drag and drop on, you're going to go ahead and get states. So in our next exercise, we're going to look at drag and drop. We're going to add some states in, or actually they're already in there for us. We're going to modify the visual information so that the student has feedback for this drag and drop. Let's do it. All right, let's go to slide number 4. I have a wrench, I have a nail, and I have a hex nut. I bet you know where this is going, right? So what I'm going to do is the student is going to have the ability to drag that wrench to the correct item, which is going to be the hex nut. All right, so the first thing that we need to do is go ahead and create the drag and drop interaction. That's not a problem. Before we do that though, take a quick look. When I click on the wrench, notice that it's only in the normal. Same thing with the nail and this nut right here. So everything is normal. Once we establish the drag and drop interaction, we're going to get states all over the place. Let's do it. We're going to go to interactions and choose drag and drop. Captivate's drag and drop interaction wizard appears, and the first thing it's going to ask me is, hey, what are your draggable objects? So I'm going to click the wrench and then hit next. What are your drop targets? The nail and the hex nut. And let's hit next. All right, well, what's the correct answer? I'm going to take the draggable center point here, click drag, and associate it to that nut. Release. Now I can see my success and failure messages appearing and the submit button appearing, indicating that, yeah, we have a drag and drop interaction here. It's a very simple one, but it's going to work. Let's go ahead and click finish. Now, let me click on the wrench artwork and go to properties. And we should have in here, hold on. Oh, okay. So this is a little bit different than the built-in states. You know, when we created a button, the normal state, the rollover state, and the down state, they just popped up, right? Now this is a little bit different. If I go and I click the wrench, and I want to go in and add a state, look at the inbuilt states. Yeah, that's a little difficult to get to, right? I mean, there's a little bit of work that you have to do there, and it's not as intuitive as just having like a button show the states. So you have to add the state. Captivate recognizes their states, but then you choose which states you want to add, which I guess is nice because if you don't want to use them all, you can be selective and pick the ones that you want. What do we have? So with this draggable element, we have when you're dragging over, when the drop has been accepted, when a drop is rejected, like you put it in the wrong location, or when you're starting the drag. Let's go ahead and do start or drag start and click OK. So I now can go in and visually change this object, and just to modify the visual of it, maybe I want to go ahead and give it like a green glow or a green cast, and I can edit that image directly in Captivate. So I have my drag start selected. We'll go to properties and click edit image. So now I want to modify the color of it. So you can see I can go in and change the hue. I can really crank up the saturation in here, like so. And I said I wanted to go ahead and give it kind of like a green glow. So I'm going to move this hue slider over to its approximately like green that I like, and that looks good. I'm going to go ahead and click OK. So now it has a green glow, and that's cool. Now what about these drop targets? I'm going to focus my attention here on the hex nut. Same thing. Notice that we don't have any of the states here yet, until we click the plus icon. The inbuilt states for this drop target are here, and what do we get? When something is dragged over, when a drop is accepted, when a drop is rejected, when the drop is correct, and when the drop is incorrect. Now the correct and incorrect will come up when we hit the submit button. But let's go ahead and let's do a drop accept and click OK. So for the drop accept, I'm just going to put a shape behind the nut, like a star or something positive. I could put a check mark beside it. I mean, there's all kinds of different things I can do here. So for that drop accept, what I'm going to do is go in and just add a shape in here. Again, maybe a star. I'm just going to click and drag and just put a star beside this that, yeah, you dropped something there. Good for you. All right. And again, I want to make sure that is in the drop accept. Let me verify that with the state view. And it looks like that wasn't part of the drop accept. Let me go ahead and draw that one more time. There we go. That's what I was looking for. So again, if you're not too sure and you want to validate, you can go into the state view, and that's really going to show you everything that's part of that state. All right, so let's go ahead and get out of that state view. Let's exit state. And again, of course, I'm going to have to get rid of that star. We don't need that. Excellent. I also want to go in and in properties, add some additional states in here. So let's go in, add a new object state. It's built in. And I want to do drop correct. And click OK. So we have that brand new state. And again, when working with all this other artwork floating around here, you're going to want to go into that state view. I'm going to take a green circle and just put it behind this nut. So we're just going to go to Shapes, Circle. I'm going to just give that a green color, positive color, and then right-click, Arrange, and let's go ahead and send that to back. Excellent. All right, so we have our drop accept, we have our drop correct, and we have that normal view of the hex nut. All right, let's save our work and give it a shot here. We'll exit the state. Let's preview next 5 slides. Okay, so I'm going to go over to the wrench and I'm going to click and start dragging. And look at that, there's that green glow that I was talking about. So again, you can go crazy and completely swap or change the artwork out in here. You can do a lot of creative things, but I just put that green glow on. And then when I hover and drop, it sees it as, hey, okay, that's a good drop, my star appeared. And if I hit submit, that is correct, and I get the green glow. Now I kick forward immediately here. Let me just go back. Again, drop. Oh, I already did it. There's my star, and then that green glow appeared in the background. So you can see the states appearing in there. I mean, obviously you're going to want to set this up so it doesn't kick forward and you want to test it thoroughly. But it is so cool that you can go in and modify these objects just upon your student interacting with them, changing out the artwork, letting them know that something is correct along the way. I mean, this is fantastic for drag and drops. All right. So we're going to go ahead and do just one more here today. And this is yet another reveal, but we're going to get a little tricky with this one. And one of the things that you'll start to mess around with states is, can I hide a state? Can I show a state? What happens when I actually hide something inside of the Captivate environment? So we're going to go ahead and create a folder, and you just simply click on the tabs on the folder and it shows content, right? I mean, this is like Interaction 101. But there's a little trick that I'm going to show you here, and it involves a transparent PNG image that I think you'll be able to use when you create your states. And again, this is something you can just put in your tool belt and Again, I think this is going to be a really cool little trick. So let's take a look at using a transparent PNG in a state. All right. So here we have three tabs. We have Manager, we have Cashier, and we have Warehouse. I'd like to go ahead and bring up information about each of those representatives of this of a fictitious company that we have. And I'm going to start by just doing a simple layout in here of just putting a character, and I'm going to put a little bit of text beside that character. So let's start by adding that in here. We'll go to Media and select Characters, and again, Brad, he's going to step up to the plate, and he is going to be my first guy in here. I want to add some text in here. Hey, if you want to just use a shape, that's perfect. Again, you can just double click and we can just say Manager. Cosmetically, I'm not worried about the look just now. I really want to make sure that this is going to function properly, and then we can go back and modify the look of the panel and modify the look of the text and all of that. So again, I got my character and I have my manager information right here. So the idea is that initially I don't want to see anything, but this is the information that's going to come up when Manager is clicked in Cashier and Warehouse. So initially I don't want anything to be visible, but then I want to go in and click these tabs and show Brad, show a Cashier, and show Warehouse. All right. And I'm trying to avoid using advanced actions. That's the key here. I don't want to use advanced actions. I want to see if I could do all of this in states. Well, let's just build the states. I know I need 3, right? So I'm going to go in and I'll click on Brad here, and we'll just go ahead and we'll just call this our content. So we'll name it. And then we're going to go in and let's start adding the state information in here. So that's our normal state, and we're going to go in and create a state for Manager. And I'm going to create a state for Cashier. And create a state for Warehouse. All right, so I just knocked those out really quick. Now, what do we have in the state panel? So let's go into the state view. And you can see that we just have Brad in there. So I will need to go in and actually add this additional information in here as far as the side text. Okay? So I can go in, again, take my shape. I got my little template there so I can see what's going on. And I can just click and drag right there so I can see the content. And I can just take that, and I'm just going to leave it as it is right now. I'm going to copy it, go to my Manager state, and paste. And double click and just type in Manager. We'll come down to Cashier and paste. That's going to be Cashier. Again, I'm not worried about the cosmetic look. I just want to knock this out. Go down to Warehouse and paste. And that is going to be our Warehouse. Okay, wonderful. So we got that information in there. Now I need to go ahead and change those states. So again, Brad's going to be our Manager. Not a problem. He's ready to go. Let's go to Cashier. I want to change my character. So select your character. We'll go to Replace Character. I'll just pick a different character here. All right. Again, if you need to resize, hey, that's fine. We'll go to Warehouse, change your character. All right, so we'll come down here. And let's go ahead and let's just use her. Again, if you need to resize, just scale that down. All right, so now I have my 3 peeps here, my Manager, my Cashier, and Warehouse person. Now what about that normal view? Yeah, this is where it's going to get a little tricky. So, the problem is that if I come in and I start doing things like, I don't know, let's get out of the state. Now again, notice I can't hide anything here. You can't hide it. So let me go back to exit state. And if I hide it here, guess what, guys? All of your states are hidden. So you just can't go in and attempt to hide this from the get-go. That's just not going to work. Now, for this object here that we created, and again, I can just go ahead and, I don't really need that right now, so let me just keep that in there. For that object right here, that's pretty easy. I mean, I can actually go in and, as far as like making it hidden, I can go in and set my opacity to 0 and set my stroke to 0. And that's gone. And now sitting behind it is just that, little placeholder object there. Kind of like a little template area. Now what about Brad? Again, I can't go in and hide him. He must be visible, but I don't want anything to be seen here. This is where the fun part comes in. So here's my little tip or trick. What you could do is go in and replace Brad with a transparent ping. It's just a PNG file with nothing in it. So you can click on the name of the artwork, hit import, go to Brad, and I have one called Brad hidden. I'll hit open, and he's completely transparent. I'm just going to scale it down so he's about the same size he was before. And now, when I go in and I preview this, next 5 slides, he's gone, and we have a content box awaiting our text information. I can even set this up to where this is removed. Right? I can go ahead and hide that too if I want to take it that far. But now let's go ahead and view and look at our states once again. We'll hit State View, and look at that. So now, and I didn't want the manager to go away. All right, Brad, why don't you come back here? There we go. So he's back in there. That's where I want him. But in the normal view, he's hidden because of a transparent PNG. And then we have him here, right here, cashier and warehouse. Okay, these states are ready to rock. Let's go back up to exit state. Now we just have to go in, and these tabs need to become buttons. So we'll select Manager, use as button, cashier, use as button, and warehouse, use as button. Let's go ahead and program them. We'll start with Manager, Actions, scroll up here, and I would like to go in, change the state of my content to Manager. Don't continue playing the project, please. Cashier, change the state of content to cashier, and then finally warehouse, our last one. Change the state of content to warehouse, and that was it. Excellent. So using that transparent ping, I'm going to go ahead and preview next 5 slides. And it will kick forward here. But it's my last slide, so it's not going anywhere. And look at that. So we started with a completely clear area here using the transparent ping. We now can go in and cycle through this information. That's looking good. All right, I got just real quick one last thing to show you here. And it's the ability to actually go ahead and page forward and page back through your states. Let's go back to slide number 1. We're just going to draw 2 little buttons just so you can take a look at this functionality. So let's head back that direction and wrap this up. Let's go back to slide number 1. And what I'd like to do is go ahead and create a back and forward arrow to cycle through these videos. I'm going to go to Shapes and select a triangle and just draw a triangle. I'm going to rotate that triangle, make it look like a back button. I'm just going to copy and paste it. And let's rotate it the other direction and make it look like a forward button, like so. All right, so now what I'd like to do is I want to use these buttons to cycle through the videos. Yet another way for the student to access information in your states. I'm going to select the back button here. We've got to make it a button. Go to Actions. And on success, I'd like to go to the previous state of my video and turn off Continue Playing the Project. We'll go to the next button, make it a button. We'll go to Actions. And again, this one's going to be go to the next state of my video, don't continue playing the project. And that's it. When we now click the back and forward buttons, it will cycle through all the states. Let's preview next 5 slides. There's my video. Click Next, Next, and then back. Oh, I love it. Well, I hope you now have a better understanding of states. You can see how powerful these things are. You know, so if you plan accordingly in regards to your interactions and leverage the power of states, I think you're going to find yourself loving states and not doing so many advanced actions to get things done, especially like doing a reveal or hiding things. So I want to thank you so much for taking time out of your day. I'm Josh Cavalier, and hopefully we'll see you soon on another BrightStream TV. Take care.